Hey everyone, thanks for joining today to our Visual Builder office hours. This month we'll start talking about Visual Builder in the context of Oracle Cloud applications. We're going to talk about how Oracle Visual Builder is used in Oracle Cloud application. We're going to show you how it's used by customers of Oracle Cloud applications to do configurations and extensions of the Oracle Cloud apps that Oracle delivers. So my name is Shai Schmelzer, and with me today are Laura and Steve. We are all from the product development team for product management for Visual Builder. While I'll be talking, Laura and Steve will be monitoring the Q&A panel. So if you have any question during this session, feel free at any point of time just to type it into the Q&A panel. They'll be happy to answer those questions. Right, so let's start with just the general statement that we always need to have. Some of the things I'm going to mention today are also talking about the roadmap of the Oracle Cloud applications and Oracle Visual Builder. So I need to show you this safe harbor statement. But first, for those of you who might not know it, what do we mean by Oracle Cloud application? Or sometimes we call it Oracle SaaS, or sometimes we call it Oracle Fusion Cloud application. So those are basically a set of off-the-shelf applications that Oracle built and delivers to customers. Okay, this is actually the world's most complete and connected SaaS suite of applications. We're talking about applications that deal with human capital management, customer experience, HCM, ERP, EPM. All of those are modules in our application suite. Okay. They provide a very wide range of functionality across all of those lines of business. And they're basically a ready-to-use solution that companies buy and run their business on those applications. And by the way, one of those companies is Oracle itself. We're actually using Fusion applications, of course, internally to manage all of our business. Okay. Now, one of the nice things about those applications is that they are cloud-ready, and they are also offering built-in customization. So we offer a lot of functionality out of the box, and we have processes defined and functionality defined. But some of our customers, when they get those applications, they need to do some adjustments. Sometimes they have different fields that they need to show. Maybe they need different layout for screens. Maybe there's things that are not relevant in our offering to their way of doing business. So they allow our customers to configure those applications. In some other cases, our customers are looking to extend those applications to basically add functionality around those applications for specific business use that they have in their company. Okay, so this is another thing that those applications would allow you to do. This is just an example of how those applications look today. Okay, and the reason I'm saying today is because the Oracle Cloud application have been around for about 10 years now. But in the last year or year and a half, we've been putting out new modules in Oracle Cloud applications that have a new look and feel, what we call the Redwood look and feel. You can see kind of, this is the screenshot of one of those modules that we'll work with today. But there's beyond just the color and stuff like that, there's a lot of animation and a usage pattern that we build into those applications, into what we call the new Redwood generation of those applications. And so this is, for example, part of our company kind of phone book, or basically the ability to look up employees in your company. This is a model we call Connections, which allows you to look up employees and see their details. And this is something, again, used inside Oracle, for example, when we want to look up anyone in our company. And one of the key things about this model and many other models is that this model was built with Visual Builder. So beyond offering Visual Builder as a tool that all of you, our customers, can use to build your own application, we are actually using Visual Builder to build all our new modules in Oracle Cloud application. So new functionality that we build into the product is being developed with Visual Builder. And we have a lot of developers inside Oracle using Visual Builder to build, for example, disconnection module, the org hierarchy module in Oracle HCM, something called the opportunity marketplace, which is kind of internal job boards where you can find new positions in the company and look up positions. And by the way, all of those modules are, of course, responsive and also work on mobile devices just as well as on desktops. And the unique UI that we are creating here, the Redwood UI, has been winning us user experience awards. So you can see one of those awards that we won last year with one of our HCM modules, again, based on Visual Builder and developed inside Oracle. Now, I showed some screenshots from HCM modules, but you will find modules built with Visual Builder all across our cloud applications. Again, in each one of the modules, whether it's the customer experience or enterprise relationship program or HCM, all of those have modules built with Visual Builder. Okay. And so just to show you an example, if I'll go over here, this is our Oracle SaaS application. And again, like most of those applications, because again, took us about 10 years to develop all of those things, most of this has been built with Oracle ADF, for example, but newer models and newer functionality have been developed with Visual Builder. So for example, one of the newer models that we have in the CX environment is called digital sales. And one of the things you can see here is a view of all the accounts that you're working with. So again, CX, customer experience, it helps all the salespeople and organization of sales track their customers. And you can see, for example, this is where you can look up customers. You can click on a customer and get their details, and you get this nice layout showing you information about the customer. Okay, and you can scroll it like that. Now, again, this is a Redwood module. And one of the things you will notice here is that I can go as a user, open up my menu as a CRM administrator, and there's an option here that is called Edit Page in Visual Builder. So this is where we come to the next part of what we wanted to talk about. So we built a lot of modules with Visual Builder. Okay, and Visual Builder is basically used as the development tool. But in addition, an end user of those applications can use Visual Builder to configure the modules that we deliver. Okay, so each one of the groups that develops those applications have control over how much configurability they build into their application. Some of them do just configuration in terms of allowing you to hide sections or show sections in the page. Other ones can go much further and allow you to modify things at the field level and even get to a situation where you can add things into the page and enhance the page with additional fields, additional areas, with additional data. And the experience is basically while you're working inside your Oracle SaaS application, you click, you open the menu and say, I want to edit this page in Visual Builder. We would open the page inside the visual editor in Visual Builder and allow you to modify it and enhance it. Okay. Now, once you did the enhancement, you now want to distribute the page and apply it on top of the page that Oracle provides. So we are doing customizations and configurations in a layered architecture. So the changes that you do are kind of laid on top of the application that Oracle provides, okay, which guarantees, by the way, the aspects of upgradability. If we modify our base application, it doesn't break your modification that lies on top of those. And when you want to publish those, we are using the continuous integration and continuous delivery pipelines that we offer inside Visual Builder Studio to take those changes that you did and apply them to the running instance of your Oracle SaaS application, while managing all your code in our Git repository. And we're doing it in a kind of a transparent way to the users, where they don't actually need to know a lot about Git or CI/CD. Again, we're aiming for business users that can just click a publish button and get everything done for them. Okay. So to do that, one of the things we did in Visual Builder and in Visual Builder Studio is we built a lot of functionality into those tools to allow this configuration and extension scenario. Okay. And it starts with the ability to create a new project in Visual Builder Studio that is based on a template called app extension. Okay. And then when you create this project, one of the things you'll see there in the list is an extension of which modules in Oracle Cloud application you want to extend. And there's a specific list that you can see there over now. And as more and more modules from our Redwood generation of application get released, this list is going to grow and grow over the next year and going forward. So one of the things we provide is this ability to create a project that is dedicated to extension based on a template, and it sets up everything for you. It sets up the Git repository and the pipeline and the connection to the environments that has your Oracle SaaS instance. And by the way, the environment is also an area where we enhanced Visual Builder Studio to be able not just to connect to Oracle PaaS, but also connect to Oracle SaaS instances, and also recognize concepts like sandbox. So sandbox in Oracle SaaS allows people to, again, do other customization, like customization of the business objects that exist there, and add additional business object, add additional fields. And Oracle Visual Builder Studio can recognize the sandbox and work with those additional business objects. Then we introduced into Visual Builder Studio a specific build job steps that manage the life cycle of SaaS extension, allow you to package an extension and allow you to deploy an extension, and also remove an extension, for example, things like that. And then into the Visual Builder Designer, we built, again, all this capability of configuring an application. And the configuration is done and is enabled because those applications are built using the Oracle Jet Dynamic Components. And if you're not familiar with the Oracle Jet Dynamic Components, we did a session a couple of months ago as part of this Visual Builder office hours that cover dynamic components. They are now available for you as a developer to use in your application. The way that we use it is we actually allow our customers dynamically to modify the rules that govern how those components show and behave. And this is how we do the configuration. And so again, inside Visual Builder, we have a lot of visual enhancement in the design time to allow people to work with it. And then in terms of working with version management, CI/CD, we enhanced Visual Builder Studio with a lot of deep Git integration, publish button and things like that to make the whole development process easy. Now, as a result, today, every Oracle Cloud Apps customer gets access to a Visual Builder Studio instance. So if you have Oracle Cloud Applications, if you go over to your top menu, look under Configuration, you should see Visual Builder Studio. You might need to get some specific privileges for your user, because not all the users would be allowed to do configurations, but users who get permissions get access to Visual Builder Studio directly there. Okay. So those instances are right now mapped to your test environment of Oracle Cloud SaaS. Okay, most of our customers have a test environment and a production environment. So you do those configuration on the test, and then you can promote them to the production environment. Now, one of the things to note is that Visual Builder Studio instance, it's meant mostly for people to do those configurations and customizations, but it can also be used to do any other lifecycle management of any other project that you want. And of course, it can also be used to develop your own Visual Builder applications. With one thing to note, the way that the Oracle Cloud Apps work is that they don't actually include the Visual Builder runtime. Okay, when you're working with the modules of Oracle Cloud Apps that were built with Visual Builder, they are running on a specific infrastructure that Oracle Cloud Apps provide. You still work with the same way, again, with Visual Builder, Visual Builder Studio, all the visual development, Git, things like that. But when you do the deployment of those extensions, those are deployed onto the Oracle Cloud Apps infrastructure that they have running serving all the apps. So if you want to build your own apps with Visual Builder separately from the configuration, then you just need to add the Visual Builder runtime license, and then you can take the applications that you build in the same environment and deploy it over there. All right, so let's break from the slides for a couple of minutes and show you a demo.
Shai, can I weigh in real quickly? There's a question about whether it's already available for existing HCM customers and additional license fees. What you were just explaining, the runtime of HCM, there's no additional license to configure SaaS, but yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so there's no additional license. It's available for HCM customers today. Again, depending on some modules are available for everyone today. Some other modules are right now in limited availability, and there are specific customers that work with it, and we're working with them, and then they are going to roll out to the other customers. But in general, if you have an HCM instance, you have access to Visual Builder Studio. It's already provisioned for you, and you can start working with it. Okay.
Thank you.
Let me show you how working with it actually looks like. Okay. So previously I was on a page as a CX specialist. Now I'm on a page as an HR specialist. Okay. And one of the pages in our application, or one of the modules here, is called the connection modules. Okay. And again, the connection modules is just a way for me to look up employees in my company. Okay. So for example, I know that I'm looking for Tracy. I can look up Tracy and I get a list of all the Tracys in my organization. Okay. And then I can click on one of those traces, and you can see again like the nice animation that is happening here, this folding layout that is happening here. All of those are capabilities that were built with Visual Builder by our developers. And by the way, if you're using Visual Builder to build your own application, you can implement the same thing. We have a blog, for example, that explains how to do this folding effect that you're seeing over here. And this is basically the page where I can get Tracy's information. I can scroll and see a lot of information, including what other employees are thinking about her. And again, those applications that we build here are responsive. So for example, if I take, get out of full screen mode, and I'll resize this application, okay, and hit the refresh button, you will see that the application become responsive. This is kind of a mobile device. This is how you would see it on a mobile device. The same information, but laid out one below the other instead of one next to the other. Okay. Now, one of the things I can see is that this layout is still the same. Okay, so in terms of the order of the fields here, it's still the same whether I'm looking in a big screen or a small screen. Now, one of the things I might want to do as a user is I'm going to say, you know what, when I'm on a mobile device, I don't have a lot of space. So I want to change a little bit the layout for mobile devices. So in order to do that, I'm going to go over to the SaaS menu and choose here, Edit Page in Visual Builder. Okay. So when I'm doing this, what we're actually doing behind the scene is we're taking the application, we are recognizing the specific module and page that you are on, and we're opening it up inside Visual Builder Studio. So there's a Visual Builder Studio project that we created, okay? And we're creating a workspace in this project and opening the page in this workspace. Okay. And those of you who are already working with Visual Builder would start to recognize this whole layout that we have over here, okay, with variables and JavaScripts and actions and things like that. And the page itself now is showing up here. You might notice that some of the things are a little bit different than regular Visual Builder. For example, the menus over here, we have less functionality over here because again, this is not for building a complete application. This is for modifying a page that we deliver. Okay, so we're looking at the page right now in a desktop view. Okay, I can also see how the page would look like on a mobile device. So I can choose a little mobile device, hit the little refresh button here, and it would show me the page as it would look on a mobile device. Now, one of the things I know as someone who doesn't live in the US right now is that people tend to call me at very strange hours of the day. Okay, so one of the pieces of information we have here is this: what's the time at the current location where the employee is? And maybe I want to move this a little bit higher in the list of fields over here when I'm on a mobile device, so people would see this before they actually pick up the phone and call me. So to do that, I can actually click on this area of the page, and I can open the rules about this area. Okay, those are the rules that govern which fields are shown here. And there's the default set of rules. This is what Oracle delivers. What I can do is I can duplicate this set of rules and create, for example, my mobile set of rules. Okay. And I can say this set of rules is going to be applied in specific conditions. And again, I have a bunch of access to a bunch of things here. For example, I can limit it by the role of the user. Okay, if it's a manager, I want to show it one way. If it's an employee, I want to show it another way. In my case, I want to say if this is a small device, okay, if small device is true, okay, I want to show the mobile layout. Otherwise, I'll show the default layout. Okay, so now I have the mobile layout. I can go over and edit the mobile layout. So one of the things I wanted to do is I wanted to take the current time and move it right after the name of the employee. Okay, and then if I'm on a mobile device, I want to remove some of the other fields, so I can just say, let's hide this field and the building address and the location. We're not interested in the location. We just need to know what's the time, what's the job title, what's the phone number, and what's the email. Those are the only fields that I'm interested in mobile. And again, just like I did here, changes in which fields are being displayed, I can also go over and I can create my own custom fields and add them here. I can change the template of how fields are shown. I can change colors, stuff like that. I can do a lot of games here in terms of how a page would look like. And then I can go over back to my page and I can hit the refresh button, or even I don't even need to hit the refresh button, and I can see now on a mobile device, when I'm looking at Tracy, I can see the time at her location. I can see her job and phone number and email, and that's it on a mobile device. If I'll then switch to a desktop, okay, I can see it in a different order, and I can also see the others. So this is how easy it is for our customers now to go over and configure the page that Oracle created for them. Okay, and again, you can configure other parts of the page as well. You can see everything that I'm clicking on over here and is becoming kind of green is things that I can configure in my application. And over here, you can see other pages in my application that I can configure. Now, once I'm happy with those configuration, all I need to do is click Publish. Okay? Publish basically takes me through a full development lifecycle, but in an abstracted way. So I need to say, what did I create here? Okay, so I created a mobile optimized UI, and then I say publish those changes. Now, behind the scene, what we're doing, you can actually see what we're doing here. We're creating Git transaction and merging the Git transaction into our line of code, and then doing a push. And then we're kicking off a deployment job that would take my changes and deploy them. Okay. Now, as a business user, I can now leave the application, leave this area, and get out. I'm going to go behind the scenes into Visual Builder Studio itself to show you what is now happening behind the scenes. Okay. So what is happening right now is that if I look in my build area, there's a build that has been queued for me. Okay. So when I click the publish, it basically started up this pipeline over here of taking the application, okay, and packaging it and deploying it. Okay. So if I look at the package step, which is now waiting for the executor to start, this is hooked up to our Git repository where we have all our configurations residing, automatically kicks off when someone changes those configurations. And then it does a build step that takes those configurations and package them as an application extension. Okay, this is the name of the extension that it's going to create. It's a VX file, and it's basically kind of like a zip file with all those changes. Now, this step is one of the steps that we're offering here in our application extension. So because this step is already there, I can't add another one. So I can only see the delete, but you can see there's specific menu for that. So this is this part of the pipeline. Okay. So again, if I click here, no, so that's the wrong pipeline. I think we're running this one right now. So not sure which one we're running. The next step is the deploy step. Okay. The deploy step is going to take and pick up the artifact that were created by the package step. It's going to copy this artifact, the VX file, and then it's using an Oracle deployment step to connect to our Oracle application instance, to our SaaS instance, and deploy that extension on that instance. So again, this is something that we're doing automatically for you. This whole process is right now, it's waiting. Oh, we can see it actually started the HCM package step. I can go over and I can actually monitor the log, and you can see exactly what it's doing over there. And it's basically doing the same type of deployment that we would do for a regular Visual Builder application, taking packaging with npm the extension, and it's going to create a zip file or a VX file in our case out of it. You can see the package finished. So now we're waiting for the deploy step to get started. And once the deploy step get implemented, our changes would be applied to our environment. Now, environment is the other thing that we have here. In environments, you can have, again, multiple environments. We're right now working on our development instance, and you can see it's connected to an instance of type Oracle Application Cloud. Okay, and in here, you'll be able to see all the deployments, so all the modules that are in there. So right now in HCM, okay, there's a deployed extensions already, and now I'm deploying another extension on top of it. And you can see similar things for example, for help desk, which is another of the modules that we deliver that is configurable with Visual Builder. Okay. Let's see what's the status here. Okay, so our deploy step finished, which means that if we'll now go back to our application that we were looking in a minute ago, and again, resize it to a smaller screen and hit refresh. Okay. Do a drum roll. Oh, I might actually need to do hard refresh. Let me do go back to the home page for a second. All right, we'll go into connections. Okay, we'll put it in a mobile size. We'll look up Jeff, for example, this time. We'll click on one of those Jeffs. Okay, and you can see now on a mobile device, the time is up here. We don't see the address. If we go big screen, okay, you can actually see the change happening, and now we have the time at the bottom. So this is how easy it is now for our customers to take and create configurations on top of those applications and deliver them to their whole organization to use. So up until now, we talked about configuration. Now, in some cases, you want to go beyond configuration, and you actually want to build a much more comprehensive solution, not just changing what Oracle delivers, but actually extending it and adding more functionality. Those, you might need to do it in various scenarios. For example, maybe you have some unique business requirements that are unique to your business. For example, we have some customers in the ERP space where our process of processing invoices, they need to enhance it with additional steps, with additional pieces of information they need to track in order, for example, to meet some regulatory things in their environment. So they need to add additional screens with additional pieces of information on top of the invoices from ERP. So maybe you have, again, additional business requirements, unique business functionality or flow that you need to implement. Some other customers are looking for optimized user experience. So we have, for example, a module that allows you to put in your shifts when you're working in an environment where you put in your timesheet. okay? But maybe you want to create a mobile optimized experience with something that is easier for your users to use. So you can take and work with the timesheet, but create your own UI. Some other cases, you want to create user interfaces that are accessing data from Oracle Cloud Apps, but exposing it in other systems, or maybe potentially exposing it to external customers. For example, maybe you want to create an environment where customers can look up all your partners, and the information about your partners are in your CX environment, and you want to create your own little portal for looking up partners. So this is another thing where you can use extensions for. And again, in other cases, you want to build pages that, for example, take data from Oracle Cloud Apps and mesh it up with data from other systems. And in all of those scenarios, you would tend to use something like Visual Builder to build new user interfaces that access both data from Oracle Cloud Apps as well as data from other places and create your own unique UI experience. And we built Visual Builder specifically for that goal. Okay. In Visual Builder, again, we have specific functionality to address those use cases. One of the key things we have there is a service catalog. So you can actually hook up your Visual Builder into your Oracle Cloud environment, and we would show you all the modules that you have access to and all the business objects that they expose for you to get data from or to interact with. It's not just fetching information. In some cases, it's also updating information. Okay. Now, one of the nice things is that you can also, and you should configure Visual Builder then to work with a single sign-on with the Oracle Cloud application. And there's a very simple process to do that. And once you do that, you can actually use the same user credentials to connect to your VB module as you are connecting to Oracle SaaS. And the same credentials are also propagated to Oracle Cloud Apps. So the user that you log in with, he only gets to see the data that they are entitled to see in Oracle Cloud Apps. In addition, this allows you to seamlessly embed Oracle Visual Builder pages into Oracle SaaS environment. So you can actually embed a full page of Visual Builder into, for example, a tab in Oracle SaaS. Okay? And people won't need to re-log in. They would still be logged in with the same user. So we do identity propagation there. One of the other things is that we know how to work with the business objects that Oracle Cloud Apps expose very efficiently. We know how to do queries on them. We know how to do sorting, how to manage relationship, how to work correctly with pagination. We actually understand the metadata that is used for those services and how to work with them correctly. And then the last point is that you can create a user experience that is the same as the Redwood experience, or maybe if you're still on an older version, same as the SaaS 13 template that we provide. So both of those look and feels are available as part of Visual Builder. Okay. So now let's pick up where we left before, which is in the same project where we just ran and build the configuration and deploy the configuration. One of the other things I can manage from the same Visual Builder Studio instance is a separate application that I created here, the HCM Mobile. It's created as a workspace over here, and I'm going to open this workspace in a new tab. Okay. So we just saw that our employee lookup, the connection module, is working on mobile devices and provides you with a very nice UI. But what happened if you want to create your own little UI from scratch that does pretty much the same configuration? Okay, so I'm going to create a new mobile application over here. Right now, you can see I have kind of an empty page, and I want to connect to the same set of data. So in Oracle Visual Builder, okay, or Visual Builder Studio, I have this concept of backends, and in the backends over here, I mapped to an Oracle Cloud Application instance. This is the same instance that I was accessing here. One thing I wanted to show you here is that I'm connecting in terms of the authentication with the same Oracle Cloud account. So I'm using the same Oracle SaaS user to connect to this set of applications. And once I have this configured, I can go over and say, hey, I want to access data from the Oracle SaaS catalog, and whether it's sales and service or ERP and SCM and supply chain or HCM, which is what we're doing now, human capital management, show me all the business objects that you have in Oracle HCM. And you can see there's a lot of them over here, okay? You can see things that are related to time reporting, time cards and stuff like that, okay? I'm actually interested in looking at my employees, my workers. So I can go over and I can expand the workers. And you can see, even for workers, there's a bunch of other stuff that you can access here. Again, what we're doing here is we're exposing the Oracle Cloud Application data as a set of REST services that you can access. And I'm going to access specifically just the base information about workers. And you can see there's all the relationship between workers and all the addresses that they were in, okay? And workers and all the emails that they had in the past and stuff like that. So all the history is also here. I'm just interested in kind of the base information about the worker, and I added this as an HCM REST API to my application. So now I can go back to the page I was looking at, this mobile page, and I'm going to design this page to allow me to search my employees. So to do that, I'm going to pick up first an input text component and put it up here, okay? And I'm going to hook it up to a variable. Okay? So actually I have a variable called search name. This is going to be the name that I'm searching. Then below that, what I want to show is I want to show the list of employees. So I'm going to pick up a list and drop it down here, okay? And then for this list, I'm going to add data from the workers, okay? So what information do I want to see from workers? I can choose a template for my layout. And then again, the template has specific slots where I can put my information. And you can create your own layouts, of course. You don't have to use our pre-canned template. And what I'm doing here is I'm going over and I'm fetching the list of all the fields that I can get access to about a worker. And again, the thing here is that it's not just things like the name. Okay, so I can pick up the display name of the employee and I can put it as the default slot, which is the big thing over here. It's also all the relationship to things. So for example, if I need to know their phone number, okay, this is actually in a related object called phones, and there's the phone number over here and I can bring it over, okay? I can also go over and look up, for example, where are they? Which city and town they are in? Put it this over here, okay? So this is how I lay out my custom UI, okay? Then I can define a filter. So I want to be able to filter this list of employees, and I can define the filter again, just like you would do in regular, well, it is regular Visual Builder. I can go over and I can say the display name needs to contain my search variable, search name over here. So that is my filter for the list of employees. And then when I click finish, I get my little mobile UI where I can have a list of employees. And if I switch to live mode, I can go over and I can look up Tracy, okay? And it would be the same Tracy that I saw on the big screen, okay? Because it's the same set of data. And again, if the thing that I'm missing here in order to make it look nice is like a little image that shows Tracy, so I can go over and I can pick up an avatar component and drop it on my list item as the leading component over here. Okay, so I would have a little image. And then all I need to do is hook it up to, so the data would be the image of Tracy. Okay, so the images are all kept in a specific directory. Let me see if I have this. Yeah, okay. So this is how you get to a person's image. It's based on their ID. So I'm going to put this inside quotes. This is the directory where the image is. So click here, another quote here. And I'm going to concatenate this to the person ID, which is a piece of information I have over here, like that. Okay, so this would be the source of my image. And now I have the images of all my employees. And now I can basically go over, run this, and distribute it as a mobile application that I just created that access the same set of information from Oracle Cloud Apps okay? And allows me to go over and look up employees. So if I'm looking for a Jeff, I can go over and find anyone who has Jeff in their name, including their images. So this is how simple Visual Builder makes it to build extensions and your own UI on top of Oracle Cloud Apps in an environment where everything is connected together. Again, you're using the same credentials. If you'll scan this QR code to access this application, by the way, if I build this application and you'll want to scan it, you'll see that you're actually going to be prompted to put in your username and password, which are the same username and password that you would use in order to connect to the HCM environment. All right. So this was a quick demo of how you extend Oracle Cloud Apps. Now, what I did here was kind of a very simple extension, and all I had to use here is Visual Builder connecting directly to my Oracle SaaS to get information from business object. We also published a more complex architecture for other scenarios where you might need to add additional functionality. For example, in some scenarios, some of the information from Oracle SaaS, you want to extract it to a separate database and get the data from that database. Maybe in this database, you bring in additional information and things like that. In those cases, you might get Oracle integration involved in order to extract data and put it into another system. You might also get integration involved if you need to merge together data from multiple sources of information and show it in Visual Builder. And again, Visual Builder has great integration with Oracle integration. In some cases, you might need to build your own layer of business logic, additional business logic for your application. One of the ways that you can do it is using function-based development, using the Oracle Functions service, which is part of the Oracle Cloud. And you can basically build those functions with Oracle Functions and access them from Visual Builder. And again, we have a document published as one of the best practice patterns from Oracle Cloud Application about this concept of extending Oracle Cloud Applications, extending Oracle SaaS with Visual Builder as the layer that builds your UI and brings in data from multiple places into customized user interfaces. All right, so that's kind of what we wanted to cover today. Several key points to take away. Visual Builder is the development platform we use internally to build the new generation of Oracle Fusion Cloud application. A lot of our new modules are being developed right now with Visual Builder. Some of them are already in production, and you're going to see a lot of them coming down the road over the next years. Okay. Beyond that, Visual Builder is also the tool that is used by the Oracle Cloud customers to do configurations and customizations of the modules that we deliver. And then the last point is that you can use Visual Builder also to simplify the way that you build your own applications and your own user interfaces on top of data that meshes up Oracle Fusion Cloud Apps data with data from other places to create your own custom functionality. The bottom line is that the tools that we're using to build our enterprise applications are the same tool that you're using, and you have a single tool set that you need to learn in order to do configuration and extensions of Oracle Cloud applications. Right, if you want to learn more about what we covered today, first of all, in the documentation set for Visual Builder Studio, there's a whole book about this configuration process of Oracle Cloud application with step-by-step instructions, all the things you need to know about setting things up, giving the right privileges to the right users, and the whole process of doing those extensions. Of course, on our documentation, we also have generic documentation for Visual Builder if you want to build your own extensions, for example. A lot of the how-tos and things like that are also covered with specific targeted blogs on our blogging platform on blogs.oracle.com/vbcs. By the way, we just switched last month to a new blogging platform. If you haven't visited this page yet, go over there. We have a new look and feel, a new experience of looking at blogs and things like that. If you have any technical questions, we have our community forum on community.oracle.com/customer connect. There's a forum under infrastructure for Visual Builder. where you can ask any technical question that you didn't have time to ask today, for example. And if you want to learn more and keep up to speed with everything new, get notification about seminars like today's seminars or future seminars, get notification about new blogs and how-tos, we have a LinkedIn group called the Oracle Visual Builder LinkedIn group. Feel free to join. Of course, it's free over there, and it's a great source of keeping up to speed with everything new in Visual Builder. All right, so that's all the time we had for today. I wanted to see if there's any open questions.
Yeah, Shai, could you help? Vinu also had a question that I wasn't sure how best to answer, but can they use their own Git repository versus the one that's in Visual Builder Studio Git repo? I think that might be a roadmap item, but would you?
Yeah, exactly. Right now, all those extensions are going to be built on the Git repository that is inside Visual Builder Studio. Now, one of the things to highlight here, the Git repository in Visual Builder Studio is free, okay? You don't pay for it. It's something that you get for free. As an entitlement, being an Oracle Cloud customer, you get those Git repositories for free. In our roadmap, one of the things that we are planning is to also support building stuff on external Git repositories. This is going to show up in one of our future versions. That's the plan.
Thank you. And another couple questions that came up on the forum. You showed a slide earlier about all the modules that are being released, right, that have this capability. They're more than just in the HCM platform. They're across platforms, as Shai alluded to earlier. So as we deliver these modules in Visual Builder, as you know, more and more are being added every day. So once the product's delivered and the modules delivered.
And again, like you can already find like a lot of modules. I showed, like, for example, the digital sales, which is a module from CX that is out there. And again, you can find in HCM things like the journeys application and the help desk application. There are already a lot of modules out there. There's also modules that were built completely with Visual Builder that were released a couple of years ago, things like the digital customer service and the partner portal in CX that are built with Visual Builder as well. So yeah, this is a progress that we're doing. It's going to take time for us to, again, develop new modules or take existing modules and potentially convert them. While we're converting, we're, of course, doing things in terms of enhancing the UIs and stuff like that. So over the next couple of years, you're going to see more and more modules popping up there, but the infrastructure and everything else and some modules are already out there. So for example, when people ask me, can I take a specific module and change it? For us in the Visual Builder team, it's hard to know because it's hard for us to track each specific modules and what's the status. The best way to find this out is to talk to the specific team that owns, for example, the invoice modules in Oracle ERP. The idea, though, is once those modules are available for you to configure, again, some of them would allow you to do a lot of configuration, including things like allowing you to add a button that would call out to an external system. Some of them would have a more restricted view of configuration and maybe just allow you to show and hide things. Each module have their own decision pattern on what level of configuration they offer. And again, if a module doesn't offer you the level of configuration you need, one of the things you can do is you can build a full extension in Visual Builder, like a full page, just like I showed now, accessing the same data. And then you can take this module and embed it as a menu option inside Oracle Cloud Apps. So that's, again, something that you can do if you don't get the level of configuration you need from the pages that Oracle provide. So yeah, so I'm looking at some of the other questions we have here. Specific modules, when are they going to be live? That's something to ask actually the development team in Oracle SaaS about their module and when would they release it.
And to a question from Vinu on the guidance on Redwood, moving in custom applications over to the Redwood.
So first of all, the thing to understand is that your applications as they are right now should continue to work. Again, you're accessing the REST services. The REST services, their spec has not changed. We're just adding more and more REST services and more objects, but the application should work as it is right now. In terms of taking an application that was built with another look and feel and converting it to Redwood, That's not a trivial process because Redwood is a different look. Okay, so things like the button size and the font and things like that are different. So technically, it's just switching the style class that you're using in your application from using, for example, the SaaS style class to the Redwood style class. But what you would find there is that you might need to then adjust the layout of your page, move things around, because the sizes of things are different. So technically, it's the same set of components, the same set of Jet components, and you just switch the style. But practically, what you would probably need to do is also relay out your page a little bit and adjust the position of things on your page in order to get to a full Redwood look and feel.
Yeah, and we are developing the design team, the team that developed the Redwood design system is developing content that will be at redwood.oracle.com in the near future for full guidance and guides and using the templates when they're all available in an upcoming release. So there will be much more information about adopting a true Redwood design, which, like Shai says, is a lot more than just switching the theme. To really embody it, you need to follow it with patterns and so forth. But a lot of content will be coming out very shortly with that.
Okay, so I think we have all the answers that are on the chat have been answered. Again, if you have any further questions, feel free to post them on our community channel or even on our LinkedIn group. We'll be happy to answer those over there. Hopefully this has been a useful session for you all, and we're looking forward to seeing all of you basically taking Visual Builder and configuring and extending the applications that we provide. We know that for us, Visual Builder provides a great enhancement in productivity in the way that we build those applications, and we're looking forward to you being able to leverage the same environment to build your own applications. Thanks everyone for joining us today, and we'll see you next month in our next VB Office Hours. Have a great day.